From tech titan to social impact trailblazer, My More reveals the bold moves and breakthroughs that redefine leadership. Get ready for a masterclass in courage and connection. Maya, thank you for being on the podcast today. Hopefully, I pronounced that right.
Yes. Thanks so much for Jason for having me. I'm super excited. I love your energy. And I don't know about Titan, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, that's kind of a, we could already start right there. That's
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. I'm not Elon Musk. So
a John Rockefeller.
nor do I want to be. Yeah, exactly. Which
Exactly. That's
Rockefeller is where I'm from, Cleveland, Ohio. So
wow. Yeah. So it's like that,
Mhm.
that huge mix there. Yeah. So your career, I know you were, fast paced, you going, and then you went from that world, like the corporate, world to founding an organizations like, and how do you pronounce the organization? IJ or
EYJ.
EJ?
That's how I
And
pronounce it. Mhm.
Boss Me In. What do you think was the moment that sparked the bold shift? Like, what were you thinking? Were you uncomfortable sitting in a corporate desk?
Hell yeah. Well, let me okay, so let's go back to that time. I don't know, I was in the tech industry for, like, 26 years or something like that, helped 2 companies go public, literally, Travelzoo and United Online. I can't say that I was uncomfortable, but did things piss me off? Absolutely, right? And I also wanna also add to that, I'm very grateful for that experience, and I love the tech world because I feel like there's so much innovation, more movement for impact there and a lot of creativity and smart people. So I'm super grateful for that. But what had happened was I was very successful in my career. I was very known across North America. As an example, with Travelzoo, the CEO at the time, who's now the chairman, literally sent me around to 22 countries, teaching them what I had done in North America. And I really made impact. I was known for my work. Okay, great. But there were things that happened, and I don't wanna go into so much detail, but, there were moments of women going against each other, to fight to that one spot where only a woman or a person of color could be. And there were just things that I was fed up with. I could barely I had a little baby at the time. I could barely buy toilet paper because I was working my behind off, and I was just like, this is not life, right? And so it was just a moment of change, and I had actually moved to Turks and Caicos for 2.5 years. Super grateful for that experience, and then moved back to Cleveland. I knew I would always move back to Cleveland. That's my hometown. Um, so to answer your question, it was for me, it was a moment of I have to do something, right? There was something that ignited me. For me, it was the combination of my upbringing of being in very multicultural, diverse cultures and coming back and seeing how is there 27,000 nonprofits in Cleveland, Ohio, and yet our youth are in a state of really an epidemic of toxic stress. It just did not make sense to me. And so the Trayvon Martin ruling had happened, and that was my kind of, that click in me to say, okay, this is not cool. I love to help people. I love bridging worlds together. That's one of my superpowers. What can I do? And I'm so thankful for that experience in entrepreneurship and tech that taught me kind of these skills, but then also having experience with really so many different cultures, social economic levels, education levels, and saying, "Hey, how can we bridge, everyday people with these young people?" And I had served 2,000 underserved youth at that time. How can we bridge them together so that we can create impact to move forward in this really helping culture and society?
What do you think so you said 26,000, and so to me, that would be a microcosm, a representation of the rest of the country. Why do we feel like is it because boomers, Gen X, I'm Gen X, I'm 51. Is it because we're just so caught up on ourselves and there's so much narcissism that we're like, fuck the youth? Like, what is
All right, you just answered the full podcast, and I'm just kidding. Yeah.
why is there 26,000 not-for-profits
Yep.
and our young people have major mental health issues, barely,
Yep.
graduating from school, fentanyl,
Yep.
epidemics,
Yep.
drugs?
Yep.
Explain this to me.
Police, yeah, gun violence, all that. It's the system. It's the system. It goes back to I'm a person that likes to get to the root of the issue because I feel like we're all wasting our fucking time building these 26,000 nonprofits, doing this, doing that. And we're actually, when we sometimes, if we're not educated or really understand who we are serving, that we are making detrimental, we're actually pushing humanity backwards. And we see that right now. Okay. So, yeah, the issue is the system. Who made the system? Did they make the system for all? Who's part of the pie? Who's part of the collective? It is not just white men in that pie. It's not. I mean, our government does not represent all of us, unfortunately, right? 80-year-old men, we're not neither of us are 80-year-old men, right? So that's honestly that's it. And EYJ is different than my other work. I mean, I never thought I would be doing this work. Never thought I would build a nonprofit. Never thought I would work with youth. Are you kidding me? But, I felt like we had to get to the root of this issue, and with EYJ, it was really more on the government side. How can we create reform on the government side, bridge people together to create impact? And really what I was doing is empowering young advocates for change too. There was another level of it is like a lot of us have these ideas, but we don't know how to execute or actually implement them. And so it was a lot of those kind of skills, collective work, bridging between corporations, foundations, community, homemakers, churches, whatever, with these young people. So,
We've all sat on, I'm gonna be frank with you, we've all sat on nonprofit boards, and the thing that drives me nuts, and you know this too, is everybody wants to just sit around and theorize. And you used a word, and I love the bridging because the bridging is the execution part. What does that look like for you to get the money moving in these obviously, because I can go into, any inner city area, which is just amazing to me that we have inner cities still in
yeah,
2025. I
totally.
mean, that's just, it means I've
America. In
monster
America.
record profits on
Yeah.
corporations, but
Really
yeah,
good
in the
resources
cities.
here. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, totally.
So what is like you said, the bridge? How are you bridging, and what is that? I know you know how to execute. You learned that, you did that, you became an expert at executing. And that's great that you learned that from the tech side. How can you bring that into it to get things moving?
Yeah. Okay, you just asked about 5 questions in one. So,
Sorry.
first,
You're getting me pumped
I've
up.
gotta do the research on why boards were created, right? And what the purpose of boards were. The original creation was, yeah, governance, but also it was about networking who's who. It was for really white males, okay?
Mhm, mhm.
And boards can be detrimental to our organization because and just like with anything, you can't come onto a board and not be part of the day-to-day, which is the team, the executive director level, and see every single detail and make these calls, decisions if you are not in the know. And boards will not you can't expect that from a board. Boards will never fully be in the know. Your job really, honestly, if it's a really great board, is yes, to execute. Maybe you have a project, but bring some money. People are working their asses off on nonprofits, like killing themselves. I thought that, a nonprofit would be easier than like coming from the startup world. It's another layer added where you are literally dealing with humanity. Okay. And so to answer what you are saying, what your real question is too, is that and I often teach this to young people right now. A new skill that's needed is we need to learn how to connect the dots because a lot of us don't know how to connect the dots, and that has to do with bridging worlds together. Meaning that do we fully understand who we are serving, right? And it's
Mm,
okay if you
mhm,
don't.
mhm.
It's okay if you don't, but then don't act like you do, right? We have to back to that ego thing and all this kind of stuff. If you have not been poor, if you have not been homeless, if you are not spending time with who you are serving on a daily basis, listening to them, shutting up and hearing and watching, observing, and really, really building relationships to understand what the real deal issues are, because it's a lot, especially for the underserved, then we have to be more in a servant role and a support role. And yes, our job bring the resources, bring the dollars, listen to the executive director because they know exactly what they need. And I hate hearing that executive directors don't know what they need. They know exactly what they need. So again, to answer your question, I think we have to, if we're on a board, sometimes we got to fall back a little bit and be more humble, right? And that I don't care what industry you're in right now in this society, we have to be a little more humble, right? If we don't really understand what the issues of the organization are, who we're serving. Yes, and I do believe we have an innate responsibility and interest to help. I do agree with that, but sometimes we're acting, especially the privilege, before we really know, if that makes sense.
These kids that you're and I'm saying that generically, the ones that you're helping, tech is gonna be the future, AI, all the stuff that's going on, and I know these kids are excited about tech and love tech. How do we get
Mm.
that bridge into that? How do we create new leaders that aren't just white males from Stanford?
Right. So, just to be really clear, I've served 2,400 young people, like, and I don't just like say that to boast or whatever, but literally human by
Oh, that's
human.
great. Yes, yes, yes.
And what I've learned is that what we have to understand with young people is they're very diverse. So when you say, yes, all young people love tech, on different levels. Yes, it's the way of this future. We have to embrace it 100%. But yeah, if you are a little more privileged or have more resources and educated, there's a different level of tech. When you're also working with underserved, of course they love tech. They're on their phones all the time. But a big thing with EYEJ is that what we were finding is that people don't have access to the effing internet in the United States of America. Like, what the F, right? So, big question there, but I think we have to be careful what we're judging and ask more questions to really
Mhm.
understand the situation and the scenario. And again, that's by design. We know that. That comes from the housing crisis and when they were doing the redlining, and we can go into that for a million years. And that's kind of my old world with EYEJ. But yeah, so to your question, it's not just about bringing people to the table. It's about listening to them, implementing what they want to see. The community knows what they need. They know what they need. We make a lot of assumptions and say, okay, and not only do we make assumptions, we come from capitalism, so everything is segmented and siloed. Okay, this population needs food.
Mhm.
All right. No, they need effing food. They need fucking books. They need internet. They need access to cash. They need entrepreneurship skills that meet them where there are. They need resources. They need bus passes. They need a car. They need gas. They need mental health help. They need access to good health care that meets them where they're at. And these are all happening right now in the moment. Whereas what I've learned is like if you are more privileged, your path is straighter, but you're dealing maybe with one issue here, you have a death here, or you have cancer here, or this and this, and it's like you can really concentrate on it and do a great job there, right? This group of people is dealing with all those things at one moment. So
Mhm.
that's that we don't understand.
Do you feel like it's because I wanna understand your work and what you're doing, and I want to share it with the leaders that are on here.
Sure.
When it comes to even me being 51, when it comes to the way that we lead in leadership, what are these kids looking at leadership? What are things that have to change when it comes to us leading this next generation?
Sure. So this actually ties to my work. So after EYJ, I did that for about
Mhm.
10 years. And I wanted to do kind of get back into more the national and international scene and do more social impact. Was really paying attention to what was happening with women. I became a chief, and that was when like the great resignation was going down, pay gap issues, DEI, all this kind of talk about that. And built another company called Boss Me In, which is all about bridging the intergenerational gap for the future work. So this company was more focused on the corporate side because again, remember, I like to get to the root. EYJ is more on the government, Boss Me In is more on corporate for about corporate reform because these are the two kind of entities that kind of rule our country, right? And so, definitely if I think about my upbringing, my experience in working, what I learned from EYJ, the young people there and the diverse people that were part of that, Boss Me In, the Gen Z there that were very different, honestly, and then all the executive women. So, how do we need to change? We need to embrace change, first of all. It's a normal thing, it's not a taboo thing. We need to understand that everybody is evolving right now. We need to be more authentic, we need to be more real. If we don't know something, we need to be able to say, like, I have no effing clue, right?
Mhm.
Meaning we need to be a little more vulnerable. We need to be honest. We need to demonstrate by example. So showing up and actually doing the work, not just talking and giving the
Mhm,
advice,
mhm.
waiting and all that. Show up and demonstrate what we are preaching or whatever advice that we are giving. We have to do that. And so that leads to my next phase now that I'm very focused on what I realized in these last 13 years of doing this social impact work is what I've been doing is awareness, right? Really helping communities and people become more aware of what's going on in society. And that leads to the final answer to your question is that we have to really be in more self leadership. This is a time to fix ourselves, heal ourselves, adjust, to change, to evolve, to grow into this new world. And so it's exciting. I think it's been painted as a very negative thing in certain ways, but we have to face ourselves. We've all made effing mistakes. We are
Mhm.
all honestly racist in some ways. We were taught that. We come from a
Yeah, yeah.
capitalist culture, right? And we've been shaped in a very brainwashed way. So we need to make sure we're more educated. We need to make sure we're really understanding what the real facts and truth are out there. We need to talk with people from outside of our comfort zone, right? So it's an exciting time. I look at it that way.
Are you looking at it like in the sense of because I want to make sure that I understand this audience understand this, especially when it comes to Boss Me, when you talk about the two-way learning,
Mhm.
in this Gen Z and the what is it? What's the next one after that? The teenage kids now. I don't
Millennials,
remember.
millennials.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Those those they don't need more hockey tables, more chefs at the it's like it's almost like that's what boomers did. They just dumped stuff onto people. Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you were in taxi, though, it's like, we're gonna have a Bluey
We
machine.
solve all the problems that we created. And young people are like, "Fuck you, I
Kombucha. Yeah, it's like
trust you, I don't like you," all that. Yep.
yeah, yeah. It's like what when it comes to authenticity and and this two-way learning, what are generations because you just said it, that they're looking at they're wanting to be like, we all need to learn, and that's awesome, but
Mhm.
yeah, but specifically, this young generation, are they looking for something, this Instagram generation, are they looking for authenticity?
Yeah, they're definitely looking for authenticity now. Certain populations of the young people, do I think they know how to be truly authentic? No, and they think
Mm,
they are, and that's not necessarily their fault either. We built
mhm.
social media for once you created the
Yeah.
MySpace, we did that. So again, we need to look at ourselves and be responsible. It's interesting though, the populations. That's why I mean, the underserved I love because to me, it's more raw and real.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
not only underserved. I mean, there's people you're very real. Like, so yeah, I think that again, that comes from leadership. We don't have a lot of
mhm,
great leadership right now for young people to follow and watch. And they are watching it. Whether they hate us or not, they are watching
mhm,
us.
mm.
Right. So are we demonstrating ourselves as being super authentic and real and just being human.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah, being human. How do you look at because I wanna from a tech leadership standpoint, like you were
Mhm.
saying, the women were fighting over one job. How do we get, and who gender, who cares, all that stuff, like but, like, young women, how do we get them more in tech? What are you doing with
You
that
o-
to get them huh?
Open the fucking door. Like, I mean, there are I'm around so many smart women. I mean, I, I think tech is better honestly than other industries. I mean, I've been involved with other like real like Fortune 500 companies too, and I think tech to me is a little more open. But like, come on now, guys. I mean,
No, it's still it's gotta be
I
80/20,
know.
90,
And you look at the
because I go to
funding.
the meetings.
Yeah, and you look at the funding pool, and it's like
Mhm.
to say other than like we need each other. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, is it an insecurity in the males? Is it that a domination, a power trip that you guys need? Is it that you're not ready for equality? Is it that you just think our ideas are stupid? Like, what? I think we have to like break that down a little bit more. It's the club that doesn't want to be dismantled. It's the way that you guys were trained. Like, because the truth is, like, there are amazing. I love tech. I mean, like, there are amazing women that come from tech, and
I never had that conversation though. With a tech leader, I've never like, "Well, it's our club. Let's not have women." There's something that's happening subconsciously. Well, I've never had that conversation. I've talked to a lot of tech people, but I think it's like a dumb subconscious thing that's just happening. Like we're not even realizing there's no awareness on it. I don't think there's like an evil. There probably is, maybe in certain groups, But as far as I saw, there was never like, "Oh, let's not have women," and
Yeah, it was
I
not
don't get.
that, but it's there.
Yeah, oh,
It's
100%,
there
agree.
when it comes down to, like, that moment of the final decision making, that sideways
Yeah, yeah,
advice
that's
all
that's
that
what I'm talking about.
I 'cause in my experience, the companies I've been at were very there were tons of women actually part of these companies, both of them, but it was those moments of, "You can't know about this is the secrets, the final decision making," like, though that's still a club.
Mhm.
Whether it's
Yeah,
intentional or not, it's
that's
still a
true.
club.
The decision making is definitely true,
Yeah.
especially in tech world, the founders will make a decision and then it's, brought down. Maybe it's coming from a VC, that's
Mhm.
really, which if you look at that little group, then
Yep.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I understand
Yeah,
completely.
all that. Mhm.
Mhm. If a tech leaders, what are some advice you could give somebody that is willing to open their eyes and look? How can we bring intergenerational leaders in? How can we bring diversity in? How can we bring more women into the environment? What are some of the things that we can do as leaders?
Just do it. I mean, I'm sick of like, I'm an action person, so it's like
Yes.
a lot of talking, we do a lot of marinating. Let me get educated, let me read this article, like, let me talk to this it's like, God, come on.
Marinating. That's so good. I love that
It's
one.
like, yes, we're overanalyzing. I mean, look, what
Yeah.
the fuck are we overanalyzing? Like, just do it today. Bring someone
Mm.
to a meeting, hire someone for that role. It's like help problem solve with somebody. And it doesn't have to be like intentional, like it has to be a woman on purpose, but it's like we have to remove again, it comes to those categories and silos and things, but all of the criteria things and look at your mission, look at what you're trying to accomplish. Who is the best person for that role? It's not that
Mhm.
complicated. It really is not. And you again, it goes back to self-leadership. What are the insecurities that you're facing that you can't do that?
Yes, yes, yes. That's so true. Yeah, it's having that ego, that being self-aware enough to understand that
And
there's
that
something
comes
blocking there.
Yeah, and that comes and, we're moving into a world that's very work and personal life mixed now, and that comes from hereditary things. Again, the system, how we're taught and all that. And it takes okay, here's the answer. It takes someone like you, Jason, because I can't do it. I'm gonna work until I'm 80 spinning my wheels. It takes a person like you to walk into that meeting and saying, enough. We have to implement this today.
Mhm.
Enough. I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. Yeah. How can you do it? So because this is so interesting, because now we had a huge switch to the left, now we're going to the right. How can we get politics out of all this bullshit and just have humans are humans? Why when I walk in the meeting, I say, let's be more diverse, let's hire more women. Instantly I'm gonna have half the audience be like, well, fuck, Jason's this now. Or the other side be like, you know, but I
Who
mean,
cares?
why does politics have to be even associated with this?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, I
Both
think
sides have failed us.
yeah, and it's not about that anymore. It's not right. It's about morale. It's about morale now. It's not I mean, I have best friends that are Republicans. I have best friends that are Democrats,
Right.
right? It's like, are we allowing space to have these conversations in a safe way that embraces this? Because I'm kind of
Mm.
actually grateful about this. It's no longer about Republican against Democrat. It's about all of us against a certain few. So I've actually
Yes,
really
100%.
enjoyed it because a lot of people
Beautiful.
telling me it's people, the social justice warriors, the social impact warriors that have been working for 100 years are finally, we've arrived at this moment that people are hopefully realizing that it's not like that. So
Mhm.
and again, it goes back to like, stop, even myself, I have to look at myself, like, stop generalizing. I even hate the term like Gen Z. There are so many diverse people. There are
Yes,
so
yes,
many diverse
yes.
Asians, there are so many diverse men, and, like, so it's
Mhm.
like, how can we look each other as humans? "What are you into, Jason?" Like, "Oh, I'm into mahjong, and I like yoga," "Oh, I'm going through this right now." Like, how can we just be cool with each other, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's almost like not look we label ourselves and put so many labels on people that we don't look
Yeah.
at the humanness
Yeah. And
and
that's
kindness,
design.
gratitude. Yes, that is design. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Be empathetic, having the courage to talk to someone you normally wouldn't talk to. Because actually, and again, it's unfortunate because talking to someone you haven't ever talked to before is actually super freaking exciting. You
It
learn about
is, yeah,
someone's
yeah.
culture and you learn that you actually relate and you're from a totally different part of the world. Like, but we've been taught, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's not good.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Are they worthy of being around me? It's like that entitlement, it's like, and it's like, no, it's actually how you create the best impact.
Mhm.
It's actually amazing. Oh.
Yeah, and I think it's allowing not to get too esoteric here, but I think it's allowing people to be in their own free will. Like, and we're all learning, like, we're going through learning lessons, and for me to judge somebody in their learning on their journey, it's just so I mean, it's so it's almost, like we've had this and we have to break this colonization feeling, and I that's what I always call it. It's like I know what's best.
Yes. Oh, but that we've been taught that and even me, I mean, from capitalism, I'm the expert. I know the answer. I'm the
Yeah, yeah,
best.
yeah.
But and
Yeah,
it's
on
funny
both sides, yeah.
in both sides. And I hate to bring up, I mean, I don't hate to bring up Markle, but I tell women this too. A point you just made is that women don't know how, many women, not all women, I don't want to
Mhm.
generalize, how to embrace each other, that we have our own journeys, we have our own paths, and not to get jealous, to embrace it and be like, cool, that's what you're about. And this is what I'm
Mhm.
about. That confidence is lacking, right? And so how do we empower that a little bit more? That self-confidence.
Do you think it's getting better? Do you think I mean, looking back 20 years ago, do you think it's better now or just in certain sectors?
In some ways, yes, some ways no. In some ways, no, because I feel that's what's created a lot of the divide, that some people don't wanna change. Some people don't wanna face themselves, some people don't wanna do the work, some people are very comfortable, right? And then there are people who are very comfortable with that and growing and evolving right now, who are meant for this new world. So, in some ways, it's a negative, it's created this divide. In some ways, yeah, people are listening and it's slow and, takes time to change. So that's a tricky question to me.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was too kind of more macro. I know you've helped over 4,000 youth. So let's get more specific with that. I read your blogs, and so I encourage everybody to go on your website. We'll have that in the links.
Thank you.
I want to know I'm going to be frank here. All the 80-year-old guys are dead.
No, we
Where,
have a
where,
president that's 80 something.
yeah, yeah, I'm just saying all of them. All of them are dead. What, what, how is anything, where's the leadership? Where's
We had
the
to look
new
at
leadership?
ourselves. That's our fault.
Yeah.
In 5 years, 70% of our workforce is gonna be millennials and Gen Z. Have we set them up for success? Hell effing no.
Mhm.
So that goes back to the intergenerational leadership there. That is an answer, and it is urgent, has to happen now, and it's complicated. It's really complicated.
What's the goal for your organization with this? Like, what's the bold I know you're extremely bold, you're extremely out there, you execute. I love your energy, but what is the goal? What are you looking at 4 or 5 years out?
To empower the next set of leaders. Are they set up for this new world and what's gonna happen in 5 years?
That's I mean, that's what's needed. To me,
Yeah.
there's a big void.
There's a big void. And same with the EYJ, what I realized too is that we were empowering the next set of leaders too. Because everybody had to become more aware too. So, I don't know how this happened to me, but yeah, this is my work. That's how it works.
You picked the hardest thing.
I listen to God, I follow what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I love that. Like, when you look at these young people, what inspires you about them, and how do they reinforce your mission?
Okay, these young people, they're amazing. What I appreciate about them is they're more open, and again, I hate to generalize. Most are more open, and there's a less of the bullshit, that we create as adults, like, again, the overanalyze and all that kind of stuff. And also the creativity is phenomenal, and the demand for change, right? And to be more in harmony as society and culture. I think that's what they truly want, and I think we want that too. I do
Mhm.
think that many of us, and I see a lot of women who are really working, and it's hard because of battling both this corporate world and really trying to shift things to this new world. And the ideas are amazing. And really, I would say for the most part, like, embracing being human and the diversity is amazing. There's still work to be done, but we're all human, but, they're exciting. It's our duty. It's our duty as humans. And how do they enforce the mission? I mean, they're part of the collective, it's really everyone's always it's thought, my work is really about the young people. It's part of it, but the work is really about us, unfortunately. I wanted to really share awareness with diverse adults. That's what I did with EYJ. That's what I've done with Boss Man with executives to say, like, to inspire them to go build a new business or create a new project or whatever, or, implement something in their whatever they're creating. That's honestly, I didn't really realize that as I was doing that, but now I do. And that's why I'm really focused on awareness. That I realized that's what I was doing, was creating awareness.
That's awesome. Last question, whenever we look at time flew, this is crazy. Whenever we look at these tech leaders that you're talking to, and and then like you said, we need more money, these executive directors, we need to, listen and talk to them. When you walk into the office of a tech leader and sit down with them, what's the conversation you're having with them? And what are you encouraging them to do so that all these tech leaders now can hear this?
I'm actually doing an event on Thursday with actually a Gen Z, and it's going to be all tech leaders. I'm going to, number one, I'm going to teach them how in an hour and a half we can make impact in that hour and a half. Because a lot of times we're taking 6 months, a year to create impact. We can actually do it really easily and quickly. And number two is we need to talk more about money. And we need to be not afraid about talking about money. It should be part of our daily conversation. It's a tool, it's an empowerment, and there's nothing negative about it. And number three, if you really want to make impact again, you got to understand who you're serving and why you're doing it. And so when you're doing your research and you're, building your product, you need to take that. I always say, take that extra step, not just that step that you think you've done enough. Go beyond the comfort zone to take that extra step to really understand who you're serving so you can build the best products available to create the best impact for positive movement forward.
That's crazy. I love that what you said that money's not, why does everybody want to be quiet about money? It's so funny.
We've been
We're
taught
so
that. We've
triggered
been
by it.
taught it's taboo and only a certain few can have it, and
Mhm.
that we're not worthy of it.
Or even if it's like, why are people so quiet when they give to not for profits? Like, why can't you say it? Like, hey,
Well,
this is what I'm supporting. This is who I'm helping. This is how it's going.
yeah, with EYJ, that's the nonprofit, and Cleveland's an interesting town because it's a very private, there's a lot of wealth there. That's actually one was the original,
So
wealthiest
it's like
city.
old money.
Yeah, old money, so very, very private. People are protective. People are protective. I mean, I think about my family who family members who have money, they worked hard for their money, and understandably so.
No, I get it. So if somebody wants to wrap this up, if somebody wants to help your organization, be a part of your organization, have a conversation, what's the best way that they can you share about your personal website and then also
Yeah.
your
So
organization?
where I'm at right now, guys, is I'm evolving just like you guys, and I'm still thinking about how can I help this lovely world and what message do I need to give. I'm really about awareness right now. And so I'm really asking for public speaking opportunities. And then I can obviously bring in the company that matches best with your audience. Of course, we need your help. But if you ask me that question, I could probably give you a list of 20 things of how we need help. So no, I think the easiest thing is if you have an opportunity for me to public speak, whether it's with a community group, with your corporations, your company, I want to get more of the message out there. That's really where my calling is right now. And so, yeah, check out mymore.com, email me or connect. Let's get on a Zoom together. I mean, I love to meet new people, hear from you. What are your ideas? That's how we learn and grow together.
Love it. It's so awesome how, many times it's rare to see somebody with courage and boldness also be positive. And so I appreciate you, the work that you're doing. This is a hard task. This is a tough one. And to stay positive through it all, it has to be.
And I need help, guys. I need help.
Yes, yeah. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's MAIMOORE.com.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
perfect. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You're the best. Thank you.